A while back I discovered, or rather rediscovered, an old base I built in Valheim. Valheim is, as most of you know, in early access still and has been for about 4 years. During these 4 years the game has received some minor and some major updates. And using these updates I'm going to try and figure out how old this base is. I already know one thing for sure, this is not the first thing I ever built in this game. I built some smaller random houses before this, before I realized what kind of game Valheim is. With that said, I was still a newbie. My empty pigpen is evidence of that. I know what you're thinking, but no, the game didn't have bats yet. My career as a 2-star boar farmer was ended by drakes. I remember, I will never forget. And on the subject of dead boars, this building is the kitchen. And this is a clue. There's only 2 types of cooking stations, the wood early game one and the cauldron. And I see a sign that says lox. I think that's the end game meat for back when this base was used. Cannot see any onions. I know I had barley, so bread was a thing. Which means that I'd eat lox pie, bread and... Whoa, I can't remember what kind of stamina foods the game had before onions were added. Carrot soup? Regular wood, core wood, ancient bark and fine wood. All were in the game when it was released if I remember correctly. I haven't seen a single trace of tar so far, so I'm assuming that was added later. Because if tar had been available while this was built, I would have used it everywhere. Storage. This should provide pretty much all the clues I need. It's fairly empty, which makes me think that there weren't that many lootable items in the game yet. The signs are all in Swedish. I was playing solo back then and using my native language seemed more, well, fitting as the game is Swedish and we're all real Vikings. Anyway, the storage tells me that the late game stuff is all plain stuff, like needles, threads, lock belts, so this is all from before the Mistlands update. But how long before? Hey, nice oak. That reminds me, oak and birch didn't drop seeds back when this was built, so you couldn't replant or farm fine wood at all. Bees. The bees were just as happy back then as they are now. But yeah, fine wood was more exclusive. Or I guess you could use devcommands back then as well? I didn't know the console existed until later, but I have to assume it's always been there. And there was only one trader. He actually spawned in on this island, so I made a path all the way there. Oh, hello, a maypole. That's been in the game since the release as well. Now, I have to say, build-wise is not as embarrassing as I expected. Some of the buildings look pretty good even. The workshop. Workbench, forge, artisan table, some upgrade items. Pretty small setup compared to today. Did I unalive 2 elders? This in here is the bedroom. There was only one type of bed back then, and one table, a stool, one type of chair, and the Raven Throne was the end of the line, the most regal item in the game. My collection of old weapons, tools and shields is a bit weak. The amount of weapons and toys in general has grown quite a bit, especially with the Ashlands update. It's weird. Compared to now, the game was a bit empty back when this was built, but I still never felt like stuff were missing. It always felt like a complete experience. And if you're wondering about the wards, I used them as decorations. Maybe not super smart of me to activate them using a character I can no longer find. Good thing I forgot to close all the doors, huh? I like this. It's sort of a natural harbor. I mean, the idea of building a breakwater is crap because waves in Valheim are evil, but it looks cool. It's one of many reasons why you should always build your base near water. Boating is a big part of Valheim, at least in early and mid-game. Why did I build the stairs facing this way? Anyway, access to boats is almost as important as that thing out there in the water. To the left there, the portal hub. Wow, it looks like my main inspiration for that thing was a cake. And with that said, they really need to add build pieces for round builds. and 1 meter long angled beams, and thinner beams, and maybe this wishlist is for another time. Back on topic. So, from what I've seen, I think 2 things above all others will make it somewhat easy to decide how old this base is. The lack of onions and tar. Both were introduced with the Hearth and Home update that was released September 16, 2021, so that means that this base was built before that. The actual game was released February 2nd, 2021. I bought it on April 25th, so this base would logically be from summer or late summer 2021. It's been a hot minute, and I am still excited about the game and I still play it almost every day. Weird, huh? Hey, thanks for watching.